One of the most difficult questions that is asked of the Christian faith is, if there is a God and he is all loving and all kind and all powerful, why are there such painful things that happen in our world? And that question is kind of an abstract question until it's your kid or your marriage or your heart that breaks. And when it is your heart that breaks, it's more than an abstract issue. And I've known more than one person, and you've probably known some, and you may be one, that got your heart broken, and you just thought, God, why would you let this happen to me? Why did you let my heart break? And how can I believe that there is a God when this terrible thing happened? And as a pastor, I know, I've experienced my own heartache, but then also as a pastor, I will tend to walk alongside people who have their hearts broken. And I've walked with a lot of them. And, a classic example, John Ortberg tells a story about some friends of his, and it's a young mom, and she was watching her toddler out by the pool, and they had a fence around the pool with a gate, and the phone rang, and she went inside for just a second, and she thought that the gate was latched. Well, the gate wasn't latched. And John Ortberg says, God could have latched the gate. He could have prevented that child from stumbling out and falling into the bottom of that pool. And the mom came out a few minutes later, and the child was dead. And you just think, why? God, would it have been too much trouble to reach down from heaven and stop that gate? And there's a certain bit of mystery of this, but we're going to be talking about that this Sunday. And if that subject is of interest to you, I'd invite you to come out to Salem Baptist, just 5 minutes north of Hatch, New Mexico. If you live in Las Cruces, here where I do, it'd be a nice drive. You can get some good Mexican food while you're up there. And we'll be chatting with that, and just give you one little perspective for now, if you're not able to be with us. And it does have to do with perspective. And classic story James Dobson tells, and he's got a great book on this. If you'd like to read up on it, I highly recommend James Dobson's book, When God Doesn't Make Sense. And he tells a story about when his children were young, another story about children being young, and his son had a terrible earache. Ryan is his son's name. And his wife Shirley brought Ryan to the doctor. But Ryan was just big enough. I'm picturing like maybe a 6-year-old child. Anyway, I don't really know that for sure. But the child was just big enough that when they went to remove, the doctor went to remove whatever it was that was in the ear that needed to be taken out to fix the problem, little Ryan would just squirm and try to get away from this painful object that was being poked into his ear. And Shirley, James Dobson's wife, was not big enough to hold him down, and so they called James Dobson. James Dobson, pretty big old boy, and he held his son down. And he says that while he was holding him down, in the doctor's room there was a big mirror, and he could see his son's. He made eye contact with his son. And his son just had this terrible look on his eyes, like, Dad, why are you letting this happen to me? And that is a fascinating story to me, because it illustrates this word perspective. That's one word we're going to be looking at this Sunday. And that is, from the perspective of the son, Ryan, there are no words that would ever explain to him why his daddy was allowing, from Ryan's perspective, this mean man to do these terrible, painful things to him. But as the old song goes, he will understand it better by and by. And there'll come a day when that whole puzzle, that whole mystery will make sense. And I think that's kind of a picture of how life is going to be eventually for us. Things that are excruciatingly painful and inscrutable, impossible to understand now. There will come a day when we will either understand or we won't care. And that'll be one feeble answer, but we're going to unpack that a little more. Invite you to join us this Sunday.